Bitcoin is the ultimate savings unit. This is literally the memory card of your life. I can put this hot energy into the hardest asset known to man, Bitcoin, and that is now stored energy. When you save, you are delaying gratification. Delay of gratification is the ultimate superpower. Humans can finally save for the first time ever in history. And what do you say? Oh yeah, I'll buy it later. Yeah, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. This is making us think that our savings and our investing should work the exact same way, because humans are no longer happy with having to wait 15 years for something. We can't even wait 15 minutes for food. You're not an investor. You're a police officer. You're a cashier. You're a podcaster. You're an influencer. You're supposed to be doing those things. You're supposed to be creating value in this world and saving it in a memory card, so you don't have to wake up in the morning and start this all over again. What happens when a CEO says something stupid? Your stock value drops. What happens when the earnings comes out? The earnings doesn't even have to be bad. The stock drops. Do you think that your savings, your time and energy should be in something like that? They don't know what they want in life because no one is teaching them about money.
It's also a new topic that I've never discussed, I think, before. You are, I'm not native speaker, behavioral analyst. It's one of the words that's difficult to pronounce for an Austrian.
Sorry about that.
No worries. But what is that? What are you doing?
Yeah, so like you said, you pronounce it great. Don't worry. Behavior analyst. So what I am is somebody who really understands human behavior. All right. So I specifically work with children with autism. So I work with these little kids who are engaging in high maladaptive behaviors, a bunch of behaviors that are not good for their lives right now. Okay. So they're doing self injuries. They are destroying property, aggressing, all of these kind of things. They can't function in a normal society, right? So what I do is I target the behaviors that are essential for their lives and help teach them those things right now so they can strive, right? So maybe that they want to go to school right now, or their parents want them to just be in a daycare, or just, just regular things like that. I help them get there. So whether it be potty training or lowering this self-injury, all of these kind of things, help them communicate. I can't tell you the amount of kids I've helped taught how to talk, right? All these different things, right? So that's what I do as a behavior analyst. But our field is not just limited to small children or children with autism. We work with a wide variety of people, but I just specifically specialize with those kids.
Interesting. What did you say in the middle? High what? I didn't understand that.
Yeah, high intense maladaptive behaviors. So a bunch of behaviors that are not conducive for their life or learning at all, right? So like I was saying, the self-injury, I've had a lot of kids that come in and parents tell me that, hey, every time I tell him it's bedtime, or if he wants something, he just bangs his head on the wall, or he starts crying, or he throws stuff at me, or he bites me. Like, I need you to help me control my kid, or help me know what he's trying to say to me, So things like that is what I work on.
Where does that come from? Is that just genetically in there, or is that maybe from the parents, or is that is it an unknown?
Yeah, the whole autism thing, it's a big topic, and it's pretty debated as well. So we're not entirely sure where autism actually comes from. And to be quite honest, a lot of doctors don't know either, right? They just say it's a spectrum. So it's called autism spectrum disorder. So they'll just say, hey, this kid is not performing like how he should perform or amongst his peers. So we're going to say he's delayed. He's delayed in these areas, he's delayed in that area. So obviously autism can widely vary. And I've been hearing things recently that Elon Musk has autism. So clearly that hasn't affected him, or affected him in a positive way. But either way, it's a wide spectrum. It can be genetic, yes, but a lot of people are also saying it's because of the foods that we've been consuming for the past 100 years, or maybe, like you were saying earlier, the water, things like that, right? Or medicines. We don't know how these things are affecting our bodies, and we need to be open to that and understand that they may be affecting us in some type of way, right? So I would say, if you ask me, I would say that all of this together pretty much affects us, because autism is clearly not how we're supposed to be functioning. So I would say all of those things.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think Elon mentioned it on the Saturday Night Live. I think the first time that he has
Yeah.
that. I mean, he definitely is a special character.
Oh yeah, he
he,
is.
he, he's not delayed probably, but he's definitely outside of the normal peer group.
Right, right, right.
he,
Exactly.
he,
The opposite of delayed. This guy's
he,
doing
he,
too many things at once. Now he's doing the whole government efficiency thing. Yeah, he's got a lot going on.
imagine he does the same thing to the USA actually than he did to Twitter, just like throwing out 80% of the people and it still
Hey,
works.
I wouldn't be opposed to that. I'm not gonna lie. I like that. There's a lot of waste in our government. I'm sure that we can all agree on that.
Absolutely, yeah. And now you wrote, or wait, you wrote, or you are in the progress of
So
writing a
yeah,
book about that?
I was writing, and now I'm officially done. But I finished the last chapter. I'm officially done. But I actually have to find an editor, right? Because I do want to go the whole traditional route. I don't have an amazing following on X or Instagram or anything like that. So I'm hoping that the traditional route will, get my book exposure and then get my message across to the world. So I am looking into that. I edited it myself, but I don't know how great that actually is. But I did it, and I'm going to get a professional one, and that's it. And then I'm completely done.
And what is the book now about? Is it like the behavioral changes and then with Bitcoin combined?
Yeah, I'd like to say that it's a lot of all of that, really. It's not just a behavior book, and it's not just a Bitcoin book, right? It what it really does is I'm trying to solve a problem here, and I'm sure you know this is a problem, Robin. Maybe back in the day you worried about orange pilling people, but I'm sure you don't worry about that anymore. Every time you go somewhere like the gym or something like that, you're just like, hey, dude, I don't have time. I have a podcast. You can listen to me whenever you want to, but yeah, a lot of Bitcoiners do struggle with orange pilling people, right? It's a big problem, and we actually do need to do that because in my field, education and teaching people are extremely important, right? And in the past, people have told me time and time again, "Hey, dude, you're so good at teaching that, like the whole Bitcoin stuff. You're so good at teaching that you should probably do something about it, write a book or get on a podcast or something like that." And I'm just like, oh, I don't really know that much about Bitcoin, but I think I know more than the average person. So what I did was I spent a lot of time learning about Bitcoin, read all the books I'm sure you know, right? Read all of them, listened to thousands and thousands of hours of podcasts and just information on it until I literally submerged myself into the world of Bitcoin. And then I started to understand a lot, right? So I took this power, what everybody's telling me that I have of teaching, and was like, let me create a book. Let me write this book because people keep bothering me all the time, asking me about this thing. And then I explain hours and hours to them, and their lives improve. And then they thank me. And then I just realize, hey, I got to say all of this over again to somebody else, right? So I use the behavioral aspect of it to actually teach people. So the whole point of my book really is to get people to understand Bitcoin without this whole skeptical view on it, right? So I'm sure you know right now, if you go to a group of people and they start talking about money, they start talking about politics, or they start talking about something that relates to Bitcoin. Well, actually, Bitcoiners can relate anything to Bitcoin, you know that. But we find a way that we need to introduce Bitcoin, and then we're just like, oh, actually, let me not introduce it because all of these people are going to make fun of me right now and they're going to gang up on me, right? That's what you think. But I really want to break that whole thing. Okay. Yes, it's more prominent nowadays and a lot more people know what Bitcoin is, but it's still like that. It's still where I bring up the topic and everybody's like, oh, dude, what are you talking about? This scam coin or something like that, right? So I want to break that whole thing. And I think that all the books that are out right now and all the people trying to teach about Bitcoin are really relying on the whole part that people don't understand money. And that is very true. I'm sure you know that. People don't understand money. But that is not where the root problem is. Okay. So, yes, my book does cover the whole problem that people don't understand money. And then I go through the start of that. But the main problem is people don't know what they want. Okay. People don't know what they want. or they don't even think about what they want. It's because they've lost the relationship with understanding simple things like these. All right. So, as a behaviorist, I understand that the problem with understanding Bitcoin starts at our behaviors. As a behaviorist, I know that people perform behaviors because they want something. All right. So, I'm going to go over the quick 4 functions of behavior to you that we learned in behavior analysis. All right, Robin. So, follow me with this. All right, I'd like for you to answer these questions. So, if you're sitting at home right now and the doorbell rings, what are you going to do?
um, my boss guy has usually the talent that he goes comes here when I have a podcast. But if I don't have a podcast and if I have time, I usually open him. But I actually like sometimes I ignore him like 50% of the time because I'm too busy with work. But yeah, like usually my behavior is like go to the door and see
All
who's
right,
there.
so there we go. All right, so Robin's life was a little bit more complicated than ours, but you would normally go open the door, right? So it's safe to say that you wouldn't just randomly get up at random times during the day and go answer the door, right? Something prompts you to do that, okay? Something prompted you in your environment to make you want to go answer the door. And when you do go perform a behavior, walking to the door, and you answer the door, something is usually there. A package is there, someone's there, a family's there, whatever, right? Somebody's there. Or in your case, the guy you were talking about, right? So something that you ignore 50% of the time. So somebody's there for you to answer the door, right? That is telling us that we don't perform behaviors randomly. So I need to go through the rest of them too. That is for the function of access. You're trying to access whatever it is or whoever it is that's at the door, okay? The next thing you can think of is a little kid, because I work with kids, right? A kid right now, maybe he sees his favorite toy at the grocery store, or not the grocery store, whatever, some store, right? You see at the toy store. Toys R Us is not here anymore, but let's just say Toys R Us. The toy is there on the shelf. It's their favorite toy. They want it really bad, right? If a kid can't communicate their wants, they're probably going to throw a tantrum, cry, or do something, or say, hey, look, I want that thing, right? But they can't communicate it. So they're going to engage in a behavior to get them to get that thing. Now, in the past, the parent probably learns that, hey, he won't stop crying unless I get him this toy. So the parent's probably going to get him the toy, right? So that behavior, even though it's a maladaptive behavior, he engages in it to receive something. All right. Now, another kid might say, Mom, can I please have that toy? And he'll probably also get the toy. All right. But he's doing a behavior because he wants something. All right. Now, think about it this way. What are you going to do, Robin, if you feel an itch on your head right now? What are you going to do?
Because in the podcast, I usually try to avoid it, but I will probably touch my face. Yeah.
All right. You're probably going to scratch it, right? You're going to just go like that. Okay. Now, you don't do that just because you feel like it, right? You do it because you felt something. And in the past, in your learning history as a human, you've learned that if you have an itch and you touch it or you go like that, it disappears. The comfort disappears. So, what you're doing there is you're trying to escape from something. You're escaping discomfort. Okay. So far we have access, and the next one here is escape. All right. Here's another thing. I'm going to use a little kid for you as an example. The teacher at school presents a worksheet for the child to complete. The child doesn't want to do it. The child says the F word. The child gets thrown out of the room and goes to the principal office. But guess what? The kid is smiling because he doesn't have to do that worksheet anymore. So the child continues to do this over and over every single day in class because he's learned that if I engage in a behavior or cursing behavior, I'm going to get to escape doing this work. Okay, so again, a child is put into a situation in his environment and he performs a behavior that he knows will be reinforced, right? It doesn't have to be a good thing, it can just be anything, all right? So far that is access, escape, and the next one is attention, all right? I can see you on the street, Robin, and I can say, hey, excuse me, Robin, hey, remember me? And you might turn around and I got your attention like that, right? But now think about the Instagram models who post a bunch of pictures of themselves online. They're also getting likes, right? Those likes are attention, right? In the form of just virtual little clicks. Another thing is in high school, I remember a lot of girls who used to say things like, I'm so ugly, or I look so fat, right? Why do you think those people do that? because other people around them are going to be like, no, you don't look fat, you don't look ugly, you look great, right? All those kind of things. That's attention. So they're looking for compliments. Those things that those girls said was trying to get them for trying to get compliments from people, right? So everything that we do in the environment that we see in the environment triggers us to do these behaviors that gives us something that we want, right? Because as humans, we want things, all right? That's just the way it goes. And lastly, there is sensory reasons. So those are four things so far, right? The sensory reasons. I may be tapping my feet the whole time through this whole podcast right now, Robin, and you don't even know that. But I'm doing it for sensory reasons. I'm not looking for your attention. I'm not looking for access from something, or I'm not trying to escape anything. What I'm doing is it just feels good to me. The same thing with me clicking my pen. It just feels good to me. So everything, every single behavior that you perform in, I perform, or animals, any living organism on earth performs a behavior for one of these four functions. Okay, now these are umbrella terms and I gave you quick examples, but every single one of these behaviors that we do fall under one of these things. Okay, now if we take that into consideration, everything that I've said so far, that everything that we do gives us something that we want, why is it that people go out in life aimlessly? They don't know what they're doing. They're doing things randomly. You ask a 17-year-old kid nowadays, "Hey, why do you work at this grocery store?" "I don't know, my to pay for my car, I guess." "Yeah, okay. So why did you get a car?" "Oh, to go to work, I guess." "Yeah." It doesn't make any sense, right? This is the things that they do because they have no plans for themselves and they don't know what they actually want, okay? Some people might even pick an occupation just because their parents told them to pick that thing, right? Hey, I'm Indian, so I know you got to be a doctor or you get shunned from the family, right? So I understand people pick these certain occupations just because other people are leading and controlling their lives for them. So you have to understand what you want yourself, all right? We have to understand those simple things, all right? Now, I believe that the point of life is to fulfill a duty. All right. We all have to create value somehow, whether it's you're creating value or fulfilling a duty for your family, the world, or yourself. You have to do something. There needs to be some kind of ultimate goal in life. All right. And you have to understand what those things are. Right. And if you don't understand any of these things, you're not going to understand the most important behavior that a human can engage in. All right. And that's what I'm saying. As a behavior analyst, I think the most important behavior that a human can ever engage in is saving. Okay? Saving. Now, yes, that may be a broad term, but I have to tell you exactly what saving means, right? Because some people might say, what am I going to save for? You know, you hear these stupid things, this YOLO movement or whatever. Hey, you only live once, whatever, whatever. Yeah, that's completely stupid. I think people with lower intelligence think like that you need to think that you need to live for now. All right, what happens if you accidentally live for 20 years, Robin? Are you going to be mad about that? You're going to be like, dang, I did all this YOLO stuff and I'm still alive. That sucks, right? Yeah, that's not how you're supposed to live your life. Okay, because when you save, all right, this is going to go back to the four functions we were talking about, Robin. When you save, you are delaying gratification. Delay of gratification is the ultimate behavior that is ingrained in our DNA. All right. This superpower leads us to delay all of the things that we can be getting right now so we can get tenfold in the future. All right. Now, if I say, hey, I can spend $100,000 and buy a Cybertruck right now, right? Or I can, let's just say, if I was investing, right? I'll get to investing later, but say if I was investing, I'll put $100,000 into Tesla and I can get 50 Cybertrucks later, right? I can get 50 Cybertrucks later. I can move out of this country. I can go live somewhere else. I can get a house. I can put all my kids through college. I can do all of these things, all right? As opposed to just taking that one Cybertruck right now, okay? Now, I know that's a little simple, what I'm saying right there, right? But the whole point of that is that you need to control yourself. You need to know that don't just do these things just because they're in front of you. That's like thinking like a squirrel. A squirrel just moves based off of what's going on in front of them right now. They engage in something and they're just like, oh, something else, and then I'm going to go over there. Okay? That's how we are growing up in this world right now, and it's terrible for our species. Okay? So I make an argument in my book that we all once had this amazing superpower, which is the ability to delay gratification, right? I use this example of where a caveman probably, you know, hunts today to dry meat to eat in the future, right? That's the ability to understand that I need to live for the future. Or what about farmers? Farmers, they rotate their crops, they rotate their fields, right? They don't use all of their fields and their soil right now today because they know that if I use it today, I won't be able to use it in the next season. All right. All of these things are showing us that we're able to delay gratification. All right. And we're losing that thing. All right, Robin. So when it comes to the functions I was just talking about, you can't access any of those functions in the future or all four of those functions in the future because you're giving into one of them right now. All right. Now, back to what I was saying that the ultimate behavior that a human can do is save their time and energy. People are so hooked on this immediate reinforcement nowadays. Just think about Uber. You want to do Uber Eats? I'm hungry. I need my food right now, so I have to Uber it. Or hey, I'm bored. I need to take Instagram out and I need to start scrolling right now so my dopamine can hit so I can feel better. Right? We're literally addicts. Right? This is like worse than drugs. And then you have these people who are like, hey, I really want to work on my body and I want to get a girlfriend. I want to do these things. Actually, forget about it. I'm just going to type in my crush online and type in naked and let's see her naked right now. That's how the world is right now. Okay. Everything is immediate to us. This is a problem because what this is doing is it's making all of these long term contingencies that we used to have in our life all short term now. All right. So in the past, I had to go walk up to, or let's just say my grandpa, right? He had to go walk up to a girl in the grocery store, compliment her, work on his body, work on getting money, and maybe asking her out and saying, hey, look, you want to go out on a date? And then maybe go on a couple dates, and then hopefully he would actually get to procreate. Okay. So that's usually what has happened. But now, men nowadays, we're not worried about that. Women nowadays are not worried about the attention of one guy. They're worried about posting a picture online and getting a million likes, right? So, how can you compete with all of these things today? How can you compete with having to go hunt for your own food, cooking your own food when you can just Uber it? My little brother, he orders Uber every single day. Every single day, this guy's got like some chicken tikka masala, or he's got some Spanish food. I don't know what he's got, Chick-fil-A. He's doing this every single day. Now, this is a problem, all right, because this is making us think that our savings and our investing should work the exact same way because humans are no longer happy with having to wait 15 years for something. We can't even wait 15 minutes for food. So we're like, how can we do this as fast as possible? I see all of these people online. They have cyber trucks. They have all these things. They have all these nice mansions and all these gold chains and whatnot. What can I do to get that quickly? Oh, yeah, I can invest in this thing that my friend was telling me about that 10x's overnight, right? You want it to be immediate. You want it to be just like all the behaviors that we engage in our life right now, immediately. But this is a problem. I want people to understand that this is not natural. Internet, all these kind of things are not natural. I use the internet. Robin, I'm using the internet with you right now, right? I understand that. I understand that all these things are important, but you have to understand that saving and money does not work the same way that all these behaviors work. All right. So this leads me up to the biggest thing that I wanted to talk about, and that's obviously Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the ultimate savings unit. This is literally the memory card of your life. Okay. I remember back in the day when I had a PS2. I don't know. Did you have a PS2, Robin?
I'm not sure which one, but I think a PS2. Yeah, I had one. I definitely one. Maybe PS3. I don't know which one it was, but
Right.
I think it was a PS2. Yeah.
All right. So my parents were a little different. I had a PlayStation 2 when I was 5 years old, and they bought me Grand Theft Auto. I know that's a good idea, right? So,
I loved that game so much. Yeah,
yeah.
I played Grand Theft Auto 5 so much, and I'm
Oh
afraid
yeah.
when the sixth one comes out, the podcast streak will end.
I understand. I understand. But yeah, I loved Grand Theft Auto since I was 5 years old. Don't worry, I didn't do anything crazy. I didn't do anything bad. My parents trusted me, or maybe they just didn't know what it was, and I tricked them. But either way, I got Grand Theft Auto 5, or not Grand Theft Auto 5, one of the earlier Grand Theft Autos, right? And I used to play Grand Theft Auto all the time. Now, I used to have a problem on my PS2 where every day I wake up and I play Grand Theft Auto, I have to start from the beginning, right? Because a PS2 doesn't have a built-in memory card like a PlayStation 5, right? So every day I would start Grand Theft Auto 5, or Grand Theft Auto, I keep saying 5, Grand Theft Auto, I would have to start over, do the same mission over and over again, over and over again. And I would waste a lot of time and energy doing that. Now, my dad bought me a little PS2 memory card. This was an 8 megabyte memory card, the one that you plug into the PlayStation 2, right? And this was a game changer. So, all of my video games, every time I played, I can pick back up where I left off. And I didn't have to waste time doing all these things I used to do before to get to the third mission or get to the fourth mission, right? Now, the memory card is just like Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the memory card of our lives. There's nothing right now that we can say with confidence that we can save our time and energy in. There's nothing. People have used houses, people have used gold, people have used all of these things throughout history, but it always gets inflated. That's the problem. These things can't be savings units because they leak energy. Houses erode. Houses, you need to fix something, there's repairs, whatever. People can raise their taxes on houses, right? You can't store your energy in something like that. It literally makes no sense. Yes, you can make millions of dollars or whatever, but yeah, then you can sell your house for $1 million and then you have to buy another house for $1 million. How much sense does that make? Doesn't make any sense, right? So we need a memory card in our life, and Bitcoin is exactly what that is. It has scarcity, it has value, it's a technology that people really need to look into themselves, because I can't explain that in literally 30 minutes, and you know that too, right? It's a lot of learning, and if you look into Bitcoin, you're going to learn more and more every single day, right? But for now, you can take the advice of all the people who have already done all of those things, that this is the sure thing. This is the big deal. You are living in a time where humans can finally save for the first time ever in history. And what do you say? Oh, yeah, I'll buy it later. Yeah, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I can't believe that we still have to explain this to people, right? So, pretty much that's what my book is about, right? I want people to understand that they are not investors, all right? I'm not sure what you guys have set up over there, but we have, I'm sure you're familiar with the 401k and the Roth IRA, everything that we have here, these retirement accounts. What do you think all of those things are investing in? Companies, all of these other things. Your employer sets this up, the government sets this up for you because they know you're going to be dirt poor by the end of the time when you're ready to retire. You're going to be dirt poor if you hold on to your cash, all right? So they give you these things to make you feel like you're getting somewhere. Oh yeah, look, my $1,000 it turned into $2,000. It only took 20 years for that to happen, right? So they're so excited about these little things that everybody's an investor all of a sudden. Everybody has Robinhood on their phones and all these kind of things. Well, I hate to break it to all these people. You're not investors. I've traded for many years so far. I know I'm still young, but I've been trading for quite a while, or before at least. I want to make that clear. Before I used to trade, right? I used to trade and I was like, yeah, I'm the man, dude. I have cracked the code on life that you can just trade and inflation's on my side and all these things are going to raise. But then what happens when a CEO says something stupid? Your stock value drops. Okay, what happens when the earnings comes out? The earnings doesn't even have to be bad. The stock drops, right? Do you think that your savings, your time and energy should be in something like that? No, that's stupid. You can't keep something in there. You need the hardest asset known to man, and that is Bitcoin. This is your memory card. This is where you need to save. You're not an investor, all right? Unless you wanted to dedicate your life to investing, you can do that. But you're not an investor. You're a police officer. You're a cashier. You're a podcaster. You're an influencer. You're supposed to be doing those things. You're supposed to be creating value in this world and saving it in a memory card. So you don't have to wake up in the morning and start this all over again. Okay? But unfortunately, that's what people are doing every single day. Aimlessly, they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they want in life because no one is teaching them about money. They don't understand these things, right? And Bitcoiners are really trying our best to teach these things to you people, but you're making it really hard for us by calling us scammers and doing all of these things, right? So I hope that people have an open mind with this book. I start off a very subtle way and ease people into the reading, to not just jump on them and be like, hey, you need to know what Bitcoin is right now or you're stupid, right? I don't do that, right? I started off in saying, hey, look, this is money. This is what money actually is. This is what you actually want in life. You need to think about those things. And look, I'm going to offer you something that worked the best in history. Now start thinking for yourselves. And I use a lot of analogies throughout the book because I think that's the best way for people to understand something, right? Because if I just throw a topic at someone, they're not going to know what I'm talking about and they're not going to care, right? So when I used to orange pill people, I used to do it in the sauna, right? I'll just be in the sauna and then this guy's sitting next to me and I'm just like, I don't want to stare at this guy for the next 30 minutes. So let me just talk about Bitcoin, right? And then by the time I leave, or by the time they leave, they're a Bitcoiner, man. They already understand what's going on, and they're like, "Hey, dude, I'm gonna invest in that." Now, when I go to the sauna, every time I'm at the gym, I don't even remember these people, and they tell me, "Hey, dude, Bitcoin is $99,000, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I told you, man. This is it, right?" So I'm trying to explain these things to people. You're not an investor. You are a police officer, you're a surgeon, you're a cashier, you're this thing, right? Focus on those things. Create value through those things. Save your time and energy in life and work to use this time and energy to do what you're supposed to be doing. Because I'm not saying that you're a cashier right now and you're supposed to be a cashier for the rest of your life, all right? That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you need to use a skill that you have right now to save, to propel yourself so you can actually do what you're supposed to do, all right? And I'm sorry, Robin, but let's think about it like this. I want to change the world, all right? And that's what I'm going to work on, okay? I have the ways that I want to change the world, and I've even written some of it down inside my book, and that's what I'm going to do, all right? If somebody wants to make a lot of money because they want to spend it all on strippers in Las Vegas, that's what they want to do. That's what they want to do. Okay. I have nothing to do with that. I'm not going to say you're a bad person, but at least know what you want, right? You have to know what you want. All right. I'm sure by the time you go through the whole Bitcoin journey, your whole stripper thing would change in your mind. But I'm just saying, if that's where you want to start that way. All right. Because I have no problem with that. You need to know what you want and you need to save. You need to understand that this ability has been given to us by our creator. It doesn't matter what your spiritual beliefs are. Your creator or whoever created you or what created you has embedded delay of gratification as a superpower for you and shown you a way that you can save. And that way I put in a simple formula in my book. And that is through time. Okay. We always hear that time is the most important thing that we have. It's our most important asset. And yes, I do agree. But I don't agree with this. People say that time disappears. Robin, time does not disappear because think about it like this. Time is dormant energy. All right. We hear this all the time about energy cannot be created and it cannot be destroyed. Time is dormant energy. That's where all of this energy comes from. Time is dormant energy. It turns into expended energy when we do things, when we do behaviors. And when we do these behaviors, it turns into stored energy. All right. So, for example, right now, I'm alive. This is the time that my creator has given to me. When I go to work and I make money, I am using my energy to receive energy, okay? This hot energy right now, which is cash because it's inflating, this hot energy, I can put this hot energy into the hardest asset known to man, Bitcoin, and that is now stored energy. All right. And when I store this energy, I've literally just bought my time back because now I don't have to work until I'm 70 years old. I can work till I'm 35 years old or till I'm 30 years old. And I can stop right there. And I have all of that time to myself to do what I want to do. And yes, I can start working again and creating value for the world. But that's for me to say, not for inflation to say, not for my boss to say, and not for anyone else to say. All right. So that's how you buy your time back. All right. And time doesn't just disappear. Yes, we all have a finite time that's going to end at some point, but think about it metaphorically. You have all your time back just by saving. All right. So that's pretty much what my book is trying to say, that you already have this superpower, dude. You just need to do it. You just need the right asset to do it in. There's no asset in ever that complemented the power that we have. Now there is an asset to do that. And you are going to be really sorry if you miss out on this thing.
I partnered up with Coin Vigilante. This is the most beautiful Bitcoin timepiece that I ever saw created by anyone. Look at that beauty. I love it so much. Coin Vigilante made a perfect Bitcoin watch. That's the perfect, subtle, elegant way to go out there and show that you are a Bitcoiner. And that watch brand is Bitcoin only. And Coin Vigilante just dropped a completely new and amazing Genesis edition of their watch collections. You have the date of the first ever mined Bitcoin block in there, and of course also the block height and which epoch we are currently in. I love the level of detail they put in this masterpiece, and make sure to check out those amazing Coin Vigilante timepieces down in the descriptions. I love those watches so much. If you watch or listen to my podcast on a regular basis, I guess you already bought some Bitcoin. And now the most important step is to keep the Bitcoin. Keep them secure in a hardware wallet. My personal recommendation for hardware wallet is the BitBox. It's super secure, it's simple to set up. It's also a perfect gift for a friend who has still their Bitcoin on an exchange. And you can get a 5% discount with the code Robin at the checkout. Visit bitbox.swiss/Robin to get your BitBox. And the next step is to really level up your sovereignty as an individual. You have to have the most secure self-custody setup. You have to secure your own devices. You have to protect your privacy. You have to set up an inheritance plan. And depending on where you live, you even want to have a plan B, a citizenship where you can move in case something goes really wrong. And through all those steps, the Bitcoin way is guiding you through step by step. And if you visit thebitcoinway.com/partners/Robin, you even get a 30-minute free call to find out how you can level up your sovereignty. And Bitcoin is the perfect representation of that time. That I love that a lot. It's really cool. And there's also, I think it shines a light on what you said earlier with the traps that the fiat system has with that high time preference, where you're getting consumerism, where you get on social media, where people just try to build the perfect digital life, even with video games. I see people that have a miserable life in the real world. They really try to be the billionaire in a video game. They try to have all those cars. I think Grand Theft Auto is a perfect game to compare that to. They do all those crazy and great shit in the video game, but then in real life, they don't do anything exciting. They don't do anything that's worth living for. So I think that's a lot. It has a lot to do with money, and it has a lot to do with incentives and behaviors. And you did an amazing job of highlighting exactly what's going on in Bitcoin. I'm really looking forward to the book and seeing what it's all about, because I think it could be a really good one. You mentioned a whole lot of things, things that I wanted to ask, and then you answered it really good actually before. One thing which was interesting for me when you talked about those 4 behaviors, I think this escape, attention, those 4 was really interesting, where we come to the point where different Bitcoiners have different reasons for getting into Bitcoin. For example, Donald Trump has a completely different reason for being all of a sudden for Bitcoin than I had in the beginning. I wanted to be freaking rich, and that's why I first got into Bitcoin. Donald Trump wanted to be elected. That's why he got into Bitcoin. Is that kind of the... I wanted to have the access and the attention. Can you get back to those behaviors with the different intentions?
Yeah, I'd love to explain that. So, first of all, you said that you wanted to be filthy rich, right? Now, I don't think that you just wanted to be rich. There could have been so many functions involved or tied with being rich. So, for example, you could probably hate where you live right now. Pretend that's the neighborhood you live in. You've grown up there all your life, and you just hate it so much. There's so much crime and all these kind of things. Well, becoming rich, Robin, actually gets you to escape that that neighborhood that you live in because you couldn't afford any other neighborhood in life, or access to a bunch of different toys that you wanted, like a Cybertruck. I keep saying a Cybertruck. Hopefully, Elon Musk posts me or something like that. So,
Do you
um,
want the Cybertruck?
all right, fine, you got me. I do want a Cybertruck, Robin. I do want a Cybertruck, but I'm thinking like that right now. Do I buy a Cybertruck right now, or do I buy 100 Cybertrucks later? Right. So that's how you got to think. So,
Yeah, it's not available in Europe, so it would be a nice car for me too, but it's not even available. So
oh yeah.
fortunately, I don't have to think about it.
There you go. So that's funny. Side story about Cybertruck. Sorry, but in my country, right, the Cybertruck. So Guyana is where my parents are from. There's one Cybertruck in there right
Wait,
now.
wait, what is that? Diana?
Guyana. It's in South
Ghana.
America.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So there's one Cybertruck there right now. And this is a very poor country, by the way. Hopefully, they adopt Bitcoin in the future. But anyways, or maybe I should probably have something to do with that. They have one Cybertruck there right now, and it every time it charges, it pulls all of the current in the whole village, and everybody has no power for hours. So that's really bad. But in the future, I'm hoping it's a lot better. But anyways, back to the question that you said. Sorry about that. I got sidetracked. Now, yes, you can have multiple functions from becoming rich, and that's kind of what I was talking about. Remember, right now, Robin, you can go rob a bank right now and be really rich. That'll get you the same outcome. But what are you going to do with the money? That $500 that you steal, you're going to go buy some sneakers or something like that, right? But you said that you wanted to be a Bitcoiner and you wanted to save and you want to become filthy rich. And you have a whole bunch of functions tied to that, access to all the different things that you're going to get, the attention that you're probably going to get online if you want to post that you're really rich and whatnot, and the escape from the neighborhood that you don't want to live in anymore. Right? So there's a bunch of functions tied to it. That's what I was talking about. That's the importance of all of those things, right? Now, Donald Trump, for example, may have had a short time preference with his whole wanting to adopt the whole Bitcoin thing, right? I don't think he has bad intentions, to be honest, right? I like what he's pushing and all that kind of stuff. So I don't think he has bad intentions. But yes, he could have just adopted Bitcoin for now because he wanted access to more voters, or he wanted attention in the form of people, Bitcoiners recognizing him and saying, hey, I'm going to vote for that guy because he's talking about Bitcoin. And I probably wouldn't have voted anyways. You know what I mean? So, yes, it does tie to a function. It can be multiple functions. But if we really dove down deep into this whole thing, we could find the one that it's actually tied to.
Absolutely, yeah. It's super interesting for me how and why people buy Bitcoin, and it kind of follows me around because I've been vocal about Bitcoin now since 4 years in my personal circles, in online since around like 1.5 and 2 years. No, actually, like over 2 years actually, online now vocal about it. And now with the podcast 1 year, really deep and every day and really vocal about it. So everywhere I go, I'm presented with Bitcoin. Like I don't have to bring it up. People around me
Right.
automatically bring it up because it's just kind of written all over my head.
Right. In your
So
shirt.
yeah, and my shirt. Yeah, I try to not wear Bitcoin shirts actually when I go to non-Bitcoin things, but some still do, and it's always fun. It opens the conversation, and then I first of all learn all the things that prevent people from entering in Bitcoin, and then I also learn over time what they said like 2 years ago of Bitcoin, and then like 2 years later they say like, oh yeah, Robin, I bought the first thing. Yeah, I think you were right actually, and I was wrong back then. So that I see that transformations, and I think you're a really good orange pillar. I think that like if you talk with someone 1 hour, you're like a kind of Cypherdino or Sailor, that you just like you put those two together and he comes out as a Bitcoiner. I think Sailor said that recently on a podcast. Give me an hour with Warren Buffett in calmness, and he comes out as a Bitcoiner. I
Oh
think
yeah.
something along those lines he said, and I 100% believe him. By the way, a short sidetrack. I'm really looking forward to the 3-minute presentation Sailor will
Oh
do for
yeah.
Microsoft.
Me
That
too.
will,
Hopefully,
that,
hopefully he can orange pill those guys. I know that Bill Gates is really against it, but I'm not sure how much pull he has in Microsoft nowadays. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Hopefully, he can because, hey, man, this 100K that we keep tapping right now, this sell wall, I'm sure it's going to be broken right after that. You know what I mean? But hopefully this weekend. Hopefully this weekend.
Yeah, when this podcast comes out, we are very likely above 100K
Oh, okay, yeah.
because it will come out like in a week or 10 days or something like that. So I have a hard time thinking of when this comes out, we're not already over it. I keep watching it the whole day since I do podcasting because if we actually crack the 100K on podcast, then I have to switch a little bit the topics.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I would be
But
100% fine with that. Trust me. You could say you can do that whole thing to me with Kanye West when he came on. He said, "Hey Dylan, all of that stuff it sounds good, but Bitcoin just hit 100K." He did that to me.
that's true. I just wanted to find out what voting power actually Bill Gates has, but I think he has a lot. I think there's like Steve Ballmer has 4.5. I think wait, Bill Gates only has 0.5%. Is
All
that could
right.
that be
Wait,
correct?
0.5?
0.5. I
Wow.
don't know if that's correct. It's just like a news article I just saw. But I know that BlackRock has around 10%,
Yeah.
and they have a product to sell with the Bitcoin ETF, so
Right.
they are probably incentivized to sell them Bitcoin. But yeah, it will be fun time. Microsoft, I think no matter what they decide, it's really meaningful because they have to decide one way or another, and then we have that timestamp in Microsoft's history, and if they didn't adopt it, we can point back in 2 years and like, hey, see how much money you could have made it if you adopted it back then.
Right.
And if they adopt it, then the success story will anyways be known. So I think that there's a voting like that in itself, no matter the outcome, is already very positive and very nice for Bitcoin. I completely forgot where I wanted to go. I think I got sidetracked too
Yeah.
much with
Keep
that.
sidetracking you.
Yeah, where did we went? I forgot.
Well, you did ask me about the whole functions, how it related to you and Donald Trump. But I would
Yeah,
like
and
to say about the Microsoft thing, I would enjoy in the future that we can make fun of them like we make fun of Germany right now for selling their Bitcoin.
yeah, it hurts my heart. Yeah, they so like in a very bad timing.
Yeah, very
They
bad time.
basically triggered with their sell order the whole bull market.
Yeah, so you were talking about the four functions of behavior, Donald Trump and you.
Absolutely, yeah. I have no clue where I was going with that, so I forgot that. Maybe it comes up later. But yeah, one thing that I was also curious about, what kind of? Oh yes, I was actually going to that. When we talk about behavioral analyst and you know why people do certain things and you can analyze that. What do you think are the major challenges ahead of us for people getting into Bitcoin? Like what is now preventing 99% of the people that maybe heard about Bitcoin, maybe are even aware that it's going up crazy in price, maybe even aware of Donald Trump and stuff like that. But they still like they cannot wrap their head around it. What is behaviorally challenging them not to get into Bitcoin? What has to change there?
Right. So half of that answer I would think would be answered in my book where I talk about people are not tying Bitcoin to their lives, right? So once you tie Bitcoin to your life, yeah, you may not like Bitcoin, you may not like technology, you don't care about saving and all those kind of things, but you do care about what you care about in life, right? So if you can tie Bitcoin to that, then you can get people over this hurdle about, oh, actually, Bitcoin does relate to me because I want this thing in life. And in order for me to get that thing, I need money. Money is the universal, or money is only the universal currency right now because energy is the universal currency, right? And money is the best way we can represent our energy. So once people realize that and realize that, hey, you need energy to get what you want in life, they will get past that 50%. But the other 50% from what you were saying just now was the fact that Bitcoin is also a technology, right? So it's not this thing that the government or Joe Biden, or if he's even in charge, Kamala Harris, whoever's in charge, right? Probably Kamala, right? Who's holding him up like a puppet right now. Anyways, she comes out and she says, hey guys, we're not going to use the dollar anymore. We're going to use Bitcoin, or we're going to use this other thing. Then people would instantly trust it because, hey, look, the government did it, right? So that means that everybody has to use this one now, right? So people are not seeing Bitcoin as this thing yet. They're seeing it as a technology. And what we've learned through the past 100 years or maybe 200 years with technology is that people are usually late to technology, right? Obviously, or else there wouldn't be so many few people, or so few people who are rich when it comes to investing in Apple and Microsoft and Tesla and all these kind of things, right? Because people display herd mentality, right? If I see a bunch of people um, doing very well with Bitcoin, maybe now I will be interested in dabbling into it, right? But if a lot of people are experiencing pain with Bitcoin, what am I going to want to do as the four functions of behavior? I want to escape pain, right? Or I want to avoid pain. So what I'm going to do is not invest in Bitcoin, right? So if I see all these people and their lives enhancing with Bitcoin, I'm going to want access to all of those things as well. All right. So I think herd mentality, to answer your question, herd mentality is our biggest thing right now, that people are not able to think for themselves and they're not going to look into this thing themselves, right? They're going to hear words that we're saying and it's going to go one ear out the other. But if we're able to relate Bitcoin to their lives, you're going to make people start to listen and they're going to be like, hey, wait, I care about solving world hunger. Let me hear what this Bitcoiner guy has to say. Oh, this can help me solve world hunger. All right, then I'm going to start to pay attention to what this guy is saying, right? So we have to get past the fact that this is a new technology and explain it a little bit more to people, right? Because I watched I watched a YouTube clip. I'm not sure if you've seen it before. It's where Bill Gates goes on. I am not endorsing Bill Gates, but if you went on he went on David Letterman's show, I believe it was the late night with David Letterman. Did you watch that clip? What I'm referring to here?
I'm not sure.
Okay, so what he does in the clip is he's basically talking about the internet. That's this new revolution, and he's talking about computers and whatnot. And David Letterman and the audience are pretty much making fun of him the whole time. So Bill Gates brings up the fact of that, hey, on the internet you can see a baseball game, you can see something live, or you can see it later on if you want to, if you don't want to watch it right now. And David Letterman's like, have you ever heard of a radio? We can already do that. And then they start laughing at him. And then he's like, well, on radio you can't do this. You can replay it, you can rewind it, you can watch it later. And then he's like, you ever heard of a tape recorder or a whatever, right? A VCR. And then they start making fun of him. So people don't understand new technologies. And whose fault is that? I would say that half of it is the people's fault because they don't want to look into the new technology, but it's going to be our fault too, Robin, if we don't explain to the world in an easier way of how to understand this thing. Because look, at the end of the day, I don't think that it's us against everybody who's not Bitcoiners, right? I think it's just that we all have to understand what it is, right? There's not going to be these two sides right now of Bitcoiners and people who don't like Bitcoiners, like Peter Schiff. Or actually, he's confusing me. I don't even know if he's a Bitcoiner. He's really confusing me. He might be the ultimate troll. Anyways, but there's not going to be two sides. There's just going to be everybody on Bitcoin. And we can only get there if you and I continue to do what we're doing. You're spreading your word, and I'm spreading my word too, especially with my book coming out. So we have to do our part. So the main thing that's stopping us right now is education. Okay? We need people to be educated so they don't just fall into the natural order of things, which is herd behavior. That's natural order. That's always going to happen. There's only few leaders, and then you have all the sheep. All right? We have to educate them so they can make the moves for themselves.
What do you think will change in society once Bitcoin is actually globally adopted? I'm speaking like far out in the future where everyone gets Bitcoin and maybe Bitcoin is even like the world reserve money, currency, asset, whatever.
Sure.
What is actually changing in our behavior?
All right. I would like to say that everything is going to change when it comes to our behaviors, but I'll start by saying this, that I would think of this, let's think of this in a mental health way. All right. I would say that most of the problems we have in life today, people killing people, people doing all these kind of bad things, right? is mostly because people are unhappy or they're not getting the actual functions that they want in life. All right. Imagine a guy who works 60 years of his life working really, really hard and he gets left with crumbs. He gets nothing at the Of course he's going to be mad. This guy's pissed, right? This guy is more prone to do a lot more bad things than the average person. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that that sparks all of the problems in the world, but when there are more people that are happy and they actually can save their time and energy, they're able to create better things. All right. So if I have more money, I'm going to be able to make my ideas come to fruition. And the same thing is going to happen with people. People are going to promote different things, and we're going to have better quality stuff. Right. We're going to have better quality things because inflation's not occurring anymore. We're not getting robbed anymore, and people's best ideas can come to fruition. Right. So I talk about this thing in my book, Alexander Fleming. Right. He is the guy he's a scientist, I believe. Is he Austrian? Oh no, he's Scottish. I'm sorry, he's Scottish. He's Scottish. Alexander Fleming. So he's Scottish, and he discovered penicillin, right? And that saved millions of people to this day from bacterial infections, right? Now, imagine Alexander Fleming if he couldn't go to medical school. What if his life was so bad that he couldn't afford medical school? He couldn't afford his next meal, basically. And he didn't get put into the place to where he can discover penicillin, right? Do you see how bad that is for the whole world right now? That no one can bring their ideas to fruition. We're getting robbed of our ideas, our time, our energy, and this is going to make our race worse in the end, right? So when I say, I hate to give you a general answer like that, but I honestly think everything's going to be better because we're going to have much better technology. We're going to have more advancements. People are going to feel motivated to actually work because they're going to see the actual realization of all the functions that they actually want, right? But mostly, I would like to say that we would probably see happier people. We would see happier people and more quality things. When it comes to manufacturing, when it comes to our food, when it comes to all of these things, we're going to see um, big changes in those areas because inflation is getting solved. Because that is the problem, right? Is that not the root problem of all this stuff? This is why Bitcoin is so important because of inflation. If we could have just saved our dollars and it would have worked, yeah, it sucks, but it would work. And that would be the end of story, right? Then we can live the good lives that we should be living. But it doesn't work like that. It never works like that. We need decentralization, right? And we can't trust people with our most valuable asset because humans are naturally selfish. We're naturally selfish, right? We're always going to put ourselves first, and that is a bad recipe for someone in charge of everybody else's time and energy. All right. So overall, I see inflation going away with Bitcoin, like way in the future, like you're saying, and that's going to make the quality of our lives much better with our advancements, technology, food, and health.
That was amazing. Random question, but is this your first podcast?
Yes, this is my first podcast.
I'm honored that you are on me with my first podcast because I think you will do a lot of podcasts. You're a really fascinating guy, and I could sit with you, I think, like 10 hours and ask you questions about that. You really know your stuff. And yeah, I interview every day someone. I really know when someone has potential to be an amazing speaker and a guest on podcast. And I think you should reach out to all other podcast hosts also because you have a great way of looking at it. And I think a lot of people would benefit from that. I was always the opinion that those podcasts are more here to entertain Bitcoiners, but I was recently at some conferences, and actually at every conference there's someone coming up to me and saying hey, I was not into Bitcoin when I first saw your podcast, and now I'm into Bitcoin full. So those podcasts are actually important to Orange Pill people. So I think you would do the community service in being more on other podcasts, and I hope to see that. And I'm just feeling very honored that you chose mine to be the first one. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And thanks for giving me the opportunity for it too, right? Because yeah, even though you're the only person I reached out to, right? Because like I said, from way before when you were posting all those things every day and you used to, back when you had the red banner stuff and you used to be like, hey, I'm posting every single day. Look at my content and stuff. Yeah, I was like, yeah, I want to be on this guy's podcast. That's going to be awesome. But let me focus on finishing my book and whatnot, right? So yeah, thank you for actually giving me the opportunity for it. Yeah, and I would love to be on more podcasts. And hopefully they hear that part that you said, all the other podcasters. So if you guys are listening,
you,
please reach out to me. I'd love to be on your show. I really want to
you,
spread the
you,
message.
you can clip it out of the podcast and send it to everyone.
I'll do that.
But yeah, it's I think we are in contact since I think I saw May or something like that. So since a longer time, and
Right.
yeah, it's been a crazy journey also for the podcast. I think I gained in that short period of like the 8,000-9,000 subscribers and a lot more listeners to that. But yeah, really really cool that you're doing the book, and I'm really excited to seeing it more from you. Now for the end of the podcast, I asked every single podcast guest one question, and the question is, what can we learn from you besides Bitcoin and maybe besides the things that we already talked about today?
All right, yeah, I would say for me, besides learning about a whole bunch of behavior stuff, because that's what I'm going to be talking about naturally, and Bitcoiner stuff, two most important things about me right now. But I think something that you would learn from me, I would say, is purpose. Okay, because I truly believe purpose in life matters a lot. Especially, I don't mean to get all sentimental and whatnot, but growing up as a man in this day and age, it's really difficult for a man. A lot of people don't understand that. They think that it can't be any different than being a girl or whatnot, right? Yeah, I'll never understand what women's struggles are, and I'm sure that they have a lot of struggles. But it's very difficult for a man to grow up in a world where he believes that he's supposed to provide value. He's supposed to protect his family. He's supposed to do all these things for his family. And then there's this secret thing called inflation just messing it all up, right? And 99% of the world don't even know that. So imagine 99% of the men in the world who are just like, hey, I hear about all these badass guys in history doing all these cool things and whatnot, and I am never going to be like them. I'm never going to amount to what they amount to or what they've done in their lives. And I'm telling you that you are a man, and you are just like the man, like all the men in history. The thing is, they had a purpose and they went for it. Right now, we're growing up in a world where your purpose is being taken away from you. You're becoming distracted and you're straying away from your purpose. I want you to understand that you do have a purpose in life, and you need to find that purpose, and you need to understand why money is going to help you accomplish all your dreams. Okay. And I don't mean that in a way of like, hey, money is evil and all these kind of things, and you need to get money and you need to do everything for money. No, money is the economic, or it is the economic representation of your energy. And it is the currency of the universe. You need to understand that money has leverage. Okay. And it is directly tied to your purpose in life. Okay, those two things go hand in hand, and you need to understand that. So I would say that the most important thing that you can possibly learn from me is your purpose in life, because I really tie it to behavior and how you can actually find out what your purpose is.
Really, really great, Dylan. Thank you so much. We have an entity in the podcast where the previous guest is asking a question for the next guest without knowing who the next guest actually is. And I think that's a very suiting question actually for you. And I'm curious about what you say here. Has nothing to do with Bitcoin. Who is your biggest hero? And if you don't have a hero, who do you respect the most?
My biggest hero. Oh yeah, that's a little difficult on the spot. All right, I would say that I have a bunch of different heroes in different aspects of my life, because I can't say someone who's taught me a lot about money is my biggest hero when it comes to me playing Call of Duty, right? So very different things, right? But I would say honestly, my biggest hero is my dad, because I don't mean to give a cliche answer, but my dad has a really good way of showing you that he loves you and he always backs you without actually saying much, if that makes much sense, right? So I would, throughout my whole life, I would always bring up any kind of topic to my dad, or if I was ever in trouble or anything like that. If I bring it up to him, ensure that I will be okay with his exact opposite persona than me. Right? I'm the exact opposite of my dad. I worry a lot. I talk a lot. I'm sure you know that already. But he's the exact opposite, and I think it really brings balance to my character, and it makes me really think that everything is going to be all right.
Absolutely. I love that. The connection between a father and a son is something special
Of course.
in every way. Yeah, really cool. Thank you so much, Dylan, for being on. Before I let you go, where can people find you, reach out to you, get your
Oh yes,
book?
yes. So like I was saying before, I'm not really famous on you on any of these platforms yet. Hopefully, after this, things will change, and after the book and everything. But you can find me on X right now. It's my handle is Behavior Bitcoin, just together Behavior Bitcoin. But the name is actually the Notorious BTC. So that's B dot T dot C dot right. The Notorious BTC. You can find me there. You can hear updates from me about my book right there. And when I actually come up with a name, maybe people have an idea of what my book is about right now. I would love people's recommendations on my book's name so I can actually name it that, because I honestly am drawing a blank when it comes to the name of the book. So please, I would love everybody's cool ideas, maybe even from you, Robin. If people can drop me some suggestions, you can always DM me. Anybody, you can DM me. I would love to chat about Bitcoin, all these kind of things. And maybe if you want to learn more about these things. But yeah, you could follow me right there. So you can hear about all my updates and where I do plan on making a new account, maybe Instagram, maybe whatever, all these other ones, TikTok and all this kind of stuff. I'll make all those things in the future.
Absolutely. So go in the description, click the guest contact link. It's all like I always have in every single interview a link, one link that points to the guest. It's in 95% of the cases a Twitter link, an X link. You can link there and DM Dylan and make sure you're following him there also. Yeah, really cool. Thank you so much for taking the time. Also, thank you so much for everyone that is watching and listening, for joining us today. As always, I'll be back tomorrow with another episode. Bye-bye.